Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Listen Able podcast, hosted by myself, Angus O'Loughlin.
And me, Dylan Alcott.
Good mates. One with disability, one able body. Just chatting disability, trying to normalise it.
Correct. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Very curious about our next guest for multiple reasons. But first, I need to read out a DM.
Hang on. What kind of DM?
A good one.
We try and be
Listen Able, we get wonderful DMs.
Oh, I thought you meant one of your private DMs.
No.
We kind of keep this show PG. I know some of that wild messages you get.
No, once you put a photo of a kid being born up, really dries up the fun DMs.
What about when you...
What a buzzkill, being engaged.
You had a pretty big February where you're just chucking up your 19 photos you've taken with Taylor Swift over the years. Do you get any weird DMs around that?
I have met Taylor Swift multiple times. I do forget sometimes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, she was in tour and a lot of people tried to see her from about a distance of 200 metres. Yes, we've hugged. Whatever. It's not a big deal.
Did you get people DMing you like, oh, can you give me some tickets?
No, a lot of people saying, you look different, which hurt my feelings.
You were hot, but you're a different kind of hot now.
Yeah, dad hot now.
Dad hot.
Dad bod. Let's get into our guest in a second. Sorry. DM comes from Ash. She says, hello, Dylan and Angus, new listener here who's binged many episodes this week. I'm a mum to a 10-month-old legend who's been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. I'm learning so much from your podcast, playing with language around disability and my views, my ableist ideals, being inspired and thought-provoked to name just a few. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Cool.
It's a wild ride, this old life thing, but very thankful for platforms such as this podcast. This past week, I've shared it with family members and friends too. Thank you for sharing such great content for challenging language education and epic banter. One thing that I wanted to bring up, this is very good. I think it's more at me, but this is something that definitely we have made the mistake. Let me get into it. One thing that I wanted to bring up to your attention is that I feel icky about every time it's mentioned around cerebral palsy, there seems to be an assumption that it's often due to a lack of oxygen at birth. This sits heavy with me as a mum. I know it's not what your podcast is about, reassuring parents, etc., but I feel the need to reach out and break down stigma around it as there's so much guilt felt from me for my son wondering about the causes, how my body didn't keep him safe, so to speak. His story isn't the most common, however, I am learning more common than I ever realised. I guess feeling icky as I hold on to how empowering his birth was, but I feel that when people find out ASCP, they assume, oh, traumatic birth. And I just wanted to voice this on your platform as it's making waves in the world, and it isn't always the case. Thank you so much for what you do. Ash, big love.
Great message.
Amazing message. And it is definitely the terminology that I use. I reckon I can think back to Bridie McKim, Oliver Hunter, many of our guests with cerebral palsy, I say is because of a lack of oxygen at birth. And usually, I think every time they've agreed.
I never asked that. Yeah,
it's definitely me.
Yeah, but not in a bad way. I just yeah. But yeah.
Well, I kind of give context because that's what I thought cerebral palsy was for the most part. Now, we do have a guest coming up in just a second who has cerebral palsy, so we can maybe ask the question and his thoughts around this DM in particular. But I just want to thank Ash because, yes, this podcast is about lived experience, and although Ash has first-hand lived experience with her son, her 10-month-old.
As a mum.
I never thought about my words having that power of making her feel guilt because she wasn't able to keep him safe.
It's a good point. Thank you, Ash. That's a great message. And if anyone else has any messages, please send them in because we actually read them all and we love them. So it also...
We reply to everyone.
We only know what we know, don't we, Angus? And we're just always trying to learn and do better. So that's a great point. And we will check ourselves and we'll ask our next guest if there's some... No, I'm just kidding. We'll get their next guest to introduce themselves.
Hello. My name's Jack Day. I was on a date, or I guess I am on a dating show called Better Date Than Never, which is about people with disabilities and other stuff going on dating. And I have cerebral palsy as well. So, yeah.
Now, nothing gets Angus more aroused than a guest who has a great podcast setup. I want to explain to everybody. Jackie Boy has got the full professional mic, headphones, some kind of gaming chair, and like beautiful paint, like photos of family.
Well, don't worry about the backdrop, which is great. It's the quality of the camera as well.
What can I say? And hey, let's not pay attention to the background. Let's pay attention to what's in front of the camera here.
Huh? Right. Okay, Jack.
We got the absolute killer.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one.
Jack, for people who haven't heard of Better Date Than Never, it's not directly a spin-off because I guess for legal reasons it has nothing to do with Love on the Spectrum. But is it sort of fair to say the success of Love on the Spectrum sort of spurred the ABC and other production companies to make dating shows around people with disability?
Yeah, yeah. It was originally the first season was actually produced by the same people who sort of kickstarted Love on the Spectrum, and so there's definitely some association there. But I think in every form, more advocacy and awareness of people with disability is a good thing. And I think for me personally, that was what really motivated me to want to go on the show was advocacy because I was like, if I get a date out of this, if I get potentially a romantic connection out of this that's all well and good. But a big thing when I was younger is, I didn't have a bad childhood. I definitely had like a lot of good things, a lot of good people around me. But I was really the only person in my community that had a disability. Like the next closest thing uh, to a disability in my community was people with dyslexia, people with colorblindness. And not to downplay those things can definitely be tough. But I think disability is definitely a different beast. Um, and so that could feel quite lonely at times. And especially as I was growing up, we're getting more representation now, especially for different things like sexuality and like personal identity. And we are getting some more representation for disability. But especially growing up, I think it was a real struggle for me because it was easy to at times feel very alone in my experience. And like even my own family members couldn't relate. And so the idea that I could go on a show like Better Date Than Never and there could be people in similar situations to me that could look to my experience and feel some sense of kinship and not feel as alone felt really important to me.
Love that. And also, obviously, Love on the Spectrum is specifically for people who are neurodiverse. So it's great that it's opened up to other disabilities, obviously, of which CP is one of them. Called yourself a killer in the opening. Talk us through that. Were you a bit of a lady killer or person killer pre-show, or what was your dating like before you went on this award? Great TV show that a lot of people watched.
I'll be honest, no. I think something I did from a really young age was go, well, if I can't match people physically, I'll match people or even be better than people to compensate for my disability intellectually. And I think that was a very, it makes sense for a child to sort of simplify something in that way. But I think that was also very harmful to me in a lot of ways because it meant that in situations where I wasn't performing to my own standards intellectually, which I've always been a perfectionist, which when you say perfectionist, if you don't know what perfectionism is, it sounds like you're bragging, but really perfectionism is if I don't do something amazingly the first time that I do it, I'm the worst person alive, which is not a great mentality to have. And so I felt like fully obligated to just like throw myself into academia to the point where I was just pushing myself through burnout from month to month for like 5 years all through high school. And then when high school finally finished for me in 2019, without exaggeration, I was like fully burnt out for like 3 years. So that was rough.
How'd you go growing up with your disability, brother? Were you always struggling, or did you have good support network around you? What was that journey like for you?
It was definitely tougher at times because the biggest thing about disability that I think it's hard for able-bodied people to grasp is that disability is not just a physical or intellectual ailment, essentially. It is an identity. And the reason why it is that is because it's something that will impact you every single day of your life if you have it in some sort of way. And so it will always shape you in almost every aspect of your life. And so when you get questions like if you could like grow up without a disability, if someone could give you a button to, restart your life and have it exactly as it was, but without your disability, whatever, would you do it? I have always said no to that just because like, I can think back to one of my biggest ambitions in life is to be an author. And that stems from when I was younger and, I really would read a lot because I couldn't exert myself physically as much. And so then I did a certain assignment where my mum really encouraged me afterwards, and that really motivated me to da 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 da. And like the way that I can be so personable and charismatic, like I think a lot of that stems from uh, not being able to do things physically as much. So I've thrown myself into like media that I've enjoyed, or things that I've reading that I've enjoyed, or academic things, as I've said previously. And so I think it's impossible to like regret having a disability if you like yourself, or now as I do, but haven't always for my entire life, love yourself. And so I think to love yourself as a disabled person, you have to love your disability. And I think thankfully I've gotten to the point in life where I feel that way.
Good stuff.
Well, you got to love yourself before you can love other people. Of course, better date than never. You did put yourself out there. You kind of said that it was more around the advocacy about disability, but let's talk about the date and stuff. How authentic can you be to yourself, your disability, and just Jack Day in general when you've got cameras following you around all the time? Because there is a sense of performance. Does that make sense? We've got a camera on us right now. We may be projecting our voice a little bit more, speaking more clearly, a little less, Not
me.
Oh,
I'm this mumbly all the time, and
That
I'm just
is
being
true.
myself.
You're one of a kind, mate. Not everyone can be you.
Thanks, Jack.
In terms of being your authentic self on camera, I personally didn't have as much trouble with that, just because not only have I done things like theater throughout high school, and as a disabled person, you're visible for your entire life. Like, you're inherently so visible to the people around you. And especially my experience being younger with a disability was that, people your own age at that point aren't afraid to just like blatantly stare at you, blatantly judge you. And that's something that really impacts you. And so I think for me, I just have this ability now where I can just like focus on connecting with the person in front of me and fully just zone out the fact that there's cameras. Like, and then, at night, when we weren't filming, I would just be shitting myself because I would be thinking about, what if I did the wrong thing? What if I, don't connect in the right way that I'm supposed to, and then the things are flop? What if I do this? What if I do that? Da da da. The second I'm on camera, boom, I lock in and I'm just like there with the person. Because I think the biggest thing with that is that you fully connect in. Like, and I think one of the biggest things that my disability's given me is empathy for other people and a sense of real connection that I can get from talking to other people. And I think that's what can make things like appearing publicly a bit easier, because you don't even focus on the fact that people are going to see this, people are going to da whatever. You just fully connect in with the person in front of you, and then everything else fades away.
For people who haven't seen the show or don't know what it is, take us behind the curtain, brother. So how'd you get cast? Are there other people with disability you're dating? Are you dating able-bodied people? And what was the experience like?
So me personally, something I asked is, so I'm bisexual and also have a disability. And something I asked is, I don't want to date guys on the show for this season, and I don't want to date disabled people. So the reason why I didn't want to date guys on this season is because I just felt a little uncomfortable. There's always an element of visibility with qualities of difference, which disability is one of. And there's an extra layer of that if you're presenting as queer. And so I felt uncomfortable fully presenting as both a disabled person and a queer person. I obviously mentioned that I was bi in the show. The reason why I didn't want to date people with disability on the show is not because I wouldn't want to date people with a disability in general. I think it would be a great thing of like a point of connection, and I just think, obviously I wouldn't treat a person with disability any differently because, I am a person with disability. I wouldn't want to do that. So I didn't want to, part of it was that fear of, I didn't want to play into the idea of the only way that I can find a connection with someone is for them to have a disability.
You say the word fear a little bit there. Is there a bit of a fear in your life that you do end up being with somebody with a disability? Is it not your preference? I mean, I know someone who's bisexual, you've got much of a more proclivity to date more people, but, if you close your eyes and think about your ideal partner, what does that look like?
I think, to be honest, when I was younger, I used to have a type, but one of the hardest things about going in this show is that obviously they'll ask like, what are you into? What's your type? Da da da. But I'm at the point in life where I've been attracted to such a wide spectrum of people that I couldn't really pin down like certain features of a person that are attractive to me if you asked me. And I think, you know, if I'm honest, part of me might be a little less inclined to date someone with a disability just because of that fear of being perceived as like the disabled couple. But I think for me, my attraction to someone is a lot more about personality than physicality. Like, obviously there's that initial spark of attraction that you can get, but I've definitely had situations where I haven't been attracted to someone as I initially started talking to them, but I just like gradually fell into an attraction and things like that. So I definitely like, I could be attracted to anyone regardless of disability, gender identity, whatever.
How much input do you have in the dates? So do you get up and they're like, you're dating this person today and you're going in a hot air balloon, or can you kind of have some impact on what happens?
You didn't suggest the ropes course, did you?
Yeah, they asked some initial questions of like, if you could go on your ideal date, where would it be? If like what kind of person are you attracted to? Da 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 da. But really, you don't really have an idea going into it. At least it was my experience. I can't speak for everyone, but you don't really have an idea going into it of where your date's going to be. And certainly the whole conceit of the show is that you don't have an idea of what kind of person you're going to be dating before you actually are on the date.
Angus, if you got cast in a dating show, obviously you are happily engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Em, beautiful woman. What would your ideal date be?
Great question, mate.
Thanks, mate. That's why I'm here.
Budget? What do we got? Give me a budget?
No budget. Whatever.
Travel?
No,
Can't just go pack a bag and take it
No,
around.
but you got a cast and crew following you, mate. Come on, it's got to be in the city.
What I
in
would
the state.
is I would wake that person up, presuming they've stayed the night.
You've never met them before?
I've never met them before. I'd say pack a bag.
You're meeting someone on a blind dating show.
I would. Hey, don't ruin my. I would say pack a bag.
Hello, Sarah.
And they would say
I'm
to
Angus.
me,
I'm your date today.
Okay.
Get ready.
All right. Well,
what is going?
Well, let's play this out. Dylan, you play. Jack, you can judge my date. Dylan, you play. You can play the woman.
Yep.
You don't know me.
Sarah. That's what I want to be
Hi,
called.
Sarah.
Yes. How are you?
Ahead of our date, I want you to pack a bag. What are your questions?
Yep. Bag's packed. It's got sports gear in there, and I'm going to wear something nice.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Then we're going to jump on a flight.
Hang on, mate.
And
we can't go on a plane.
Hey, don't tell me what to do. My dream date, mate.
Okay, fine.
And after a couple of connecting flights, we land in Nashville, Tennessee.
You're an idiot.
And Dolly Parton is playing her final show. She's agreed to this one concert, a 500-seater, that she is going to play this one last special show. And then you say to me,
I prefer Keith Urban.
No.
What do I say?
Well, you've only got sports gear and a nice outfit.
Yeah.
It's a Dolly Parton concert. What do you say to me?
Oh, I need a cowboy hat.
That's when you find out I've had your best friend pack a bag of all of your favourite Dolly Parton things.
Nice.
And we go and see Dolly Parton's last ever concert together, and you are a huge fan. I knew that from doing some research on your Instagram.
You haven't met this person from the show. That's the point.
Well, I was just kind of going through a viral video that went.
Okay, you're an idiot.
Someone recently did that exact.
So you're not original.
Not
so
original.
you're plagiarizing,
So you're
is
not
what I'm hearing.
so you're not
Trying to get clicks on the internet, mate.
So you're not even going to get on the show. You're not even gonna get on the show.
Whatever you got to do. I
Mate, a
understand.
Ratley sausage roll and sauce and a walk down the beach.
I'd be really bad at that. I'd be like, I just want to go to the pub and like connect with them, which is not great TV. I wouldn't be like, I want to go rock climbing or bouldering. I mean, I can't do that.
I was
Anyway.
going to say that's
That'd be
adventurous.
impressive, actually, if I go bouldering.
Yeah, be good.
Yeah. I don't know,
Make for good television.
Picnic in the park, maybe a bit
That's
lame,
cute,
but you know, it's nice.
Going back to you, Jack, can we talk about after your experience and your dates? Of course, watch them all on iView now. Better date than ever. What have you learnt? Did you get any tips from the producers? Obviously, as you said, some have impact or input into the Love on the Spectrum show. Maybe they've done some dating shows in the past. Do they give you some tips and tricks that has changed the way you go out into the world looking for love?
Look, I don't remember any tips and tricks explicitly from the producers, but what I did take away from the experience of being on the show is that, obviously going into it, and I think a big part of my arc on the show was that I was just afraid that there was no way at that point that someone could find a connection with me. Because up to that point in my life, I'd either had, near misses of potential relationships or connections with people, or, my feelings had just been one-sided. But I think being on the show, I really got the sense that, and especially watching it afterwards, that, people can be attracted to me. People can find that in me. And that really meant a lot to me and made me feel, made me have more confidence in myself. And especially going back out into the dating world, I feel like I will have more confidence. I haven't yet, to clarify, and that's more because I've had back issues since the show, which are not related to the show, more related to just my fucky legs and body. But yeah.
Without ruining the show, how was your first date and what'd you do?
My first date was really, really fun. It was with a girl called Phoebe.
Ooh, love the name Phoebe.
Yeah. And, we met up at this really nice restaurant and she was definitely really nervous. I was nervous, but I don't think exactly at the same level, not to disparage anything. Obviously you'd be nervous in that situation. But I think we really connected just because my biggest goal going in, because I could tell she was very nervous, was just, okay, screw the fact that it's a date. I'm just going to try and make her feel as comfortable as possible and just try to connect on a human level. Because that's always what I try and do in any interaction with people, is just get that connection on a human level. Because I feel that my disability has given me, as I kind of outlined earlier, a massive amount of empathy for most anyone in any situation. And so I really want to always do my best to make people feel as comfortable as possible. Because for me personally, when I feel my yuckiest is when I'll, be around people and feel like I have to put up some sort of facade. If I can be around you and just be as myself as possible, that's when I'm going to be the most comfortable. That's when we're going to have the best situations. And so that's really what I tried to bring out of that situation. And I think we ended up having a lot of fun.
Great.
Nice.
How's the DMs, mate? How's the DMs post-show?
He called himself a killer.
They're flying in. You got the pick of the whole population too.
I mean, look, when I called myself a killer, I think I was just pumping myself up a little bit. Honestly,
how's it going? Honestly,
the DMs that I've gotten have more been just nice. I've gotten DMs from multiple people, essentially just being like, I really appreciated seeing you on the screen. I really appreciated the representation that you put out there, which, as I've outlined previously, meant tons to me. That really was one of my most important things going on the show. And so the fact that people have reached out and have said that they've resonated with what I did, that's really meant so much to me.
Good, mate.
What's the icebreaker? Jack, you've got a bit of the gift of the gab. You're pretty confident in front of the screen and the microphone. Let's say, you walk up to Phoebe, was it? The date. You obviously, say, oh, I'm Jack and can I get you a drink? What's the first question that you ask that really sets the tone for the date?
I'll be honest, I don't really have one.
Ooh.
I just sort of play it by ear, see how it goes. One of my big things in interactions, if there is that little bit of awkwardness, a little bit of stiffness to the interaction, just acknowledge the awkwardness. You'd be honestly surprised how much that will do.
That's true. Do you mind if only you're comfortable, Dylan? But I think maybe even when you met Shanti, your partner, who you love very much, or maybe I don't want to bring up any exes, but
I thought you were going to ask me what my opening icebreaker is.
Why no?
Have you heard of Wimbledon?
Mine was similar. Mine was going to be this one. God, what if I put that bloody Paralympic gold medal?
I beat into it. I do.
Have I left that behind, that Paralympic gold?
It's not. It's not everyone. It's not. It's what are you most proud of in your life?
That was your icebreaker?
No, it's not.
Yeah. Do you reckon that one would work for you, Jack? What are you most proud of in your life? It's actually, to be fair, not bad. It's not bad.
It's just you never open with what do you do. No one cares. Yeah, everyone does that. Never open. There you go. There's a little lesson for you if you're watching along. Never open that.
Jack, you have listened to the podcast. Thank you. You know about the bowl of uncomfortable. Can you tell us what the bowl of uncomfortable is?
It's just essentially questions that you wouldn't normally feel comfortable asking a disabled person, and they get typed out, sent in from wherever they're sent in.
He's a listener. He's proved it. He's proved it. I'm up first.
Hey, I'm onto it.
Thank you.
Mine is from James on Instagram. Have you ever felt like a prop of diversity in any of your friendship groups growing up in high school? And if yes, could you give us an example?
A prop of diversity.
I might even just expand that to prop and diversity, not just in your friendship group, but just in general, i.e. on a TV show.
Maybe not this one.
Maybe.
Look, on this show, I didn't feel like a prop of diversity because especially, seeing the earlier season that was out, I watched that before I was on the show, and they definitely present you a lot more. Like when you hear reality TV, I think the general public's expectation now is it's called reality TV, but it's very much not reality.
The maths,
what you say,
maths of the world.
Yeah. Maths,
That's real.
The Bachelor, everything you say will get manipulated, frankenbitten in some sort of way to just create like a certain narrative, whatever.
Frankenbitten.
I think
better
date than never. Yeah. I think Better Date Than Never specifically has sort of a thing of they'll just sort of take your storyline wherever it goes, and they sort of, I think, obviously things get cut out, certain things, whatever, but I think very much the thing that I connected with most about the show is that there's a massive level of honesty around everything. Like something I don't think you would normally do on regular dates is tell them how you felt the date went, honestly. But on like, you just sort of go like, yeah, it was great. Then you feel however you feel afterwards. But on the show, everyone's sort of encouraged to, after the date, honestly say to the person that they've been on the date with how they felt, whether they want to go on another one. I think that's really authentic and fresh. And I think, they don't, although things might be cut or whatever, I don't think anything's really like manipulated. You're never forced to say anything you don't want to.
That would be funny in real life. How's the date? Pretty shit house. Thanks, though.
Yeah.
Good.
The master producers would have grabbed that from 2 weeks before when you asked, how's the food? Pretty shit house.
Good oysters, but shit chat. Catch up.
But bringing it back to the original question of being a prop of diversity, I think the most I sort of felt that was in primary school. I think my high school friends were all pretty authentic and great. But I think in primary school, I definitely would sometimes feel a thing of, people cozying up to me to get to the front of the line, And I never really felt that at the time. But like looking back on that experience as a more mature person, I can definitely see that. But I think that's sort of the worst that I've felt.
It's a good answer. Going back to reality shows, do you know that Come Dine With Me? At least the producers of Better Date Than Ever didn't do that. Have you ever seen that where the UK show where they have dinner together, then they make them sit in that little booth and say, would you like to have a second date? But I always find it so awkward when the person who says no goes, you go first.
First dates.
And then they go,
first dates? First dates. Come down as we have a dinner party, invite randoms, and you score the food.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So what's
and they're like, yeah, okay. And the other person's like, actually, I'm not.
Yeah, but it's even worse when the person goes, you go first. Yeah. And they go, yeah, I really loved our connection. You're the best. And then they go, cool, my turn? Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know. It's so bad, yeah.
So Better Date Than Never. At least they had an authentic connection, didn't edit around
Shout out to Better Date Than Never, and Love on the Spectrum does seem very authentic.
It does. My bowl of uncomfortable question comes from Jack. Another Jack. Double Jack. Jack squared.
So many Jacks in the world. Oh,
and there
my
really
God.
Is. I need a good answer for my Hinge prompt. Now.
So I'm doing work for someone here. I might have
Yep.
to sabotage my answer a little bit now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give some context. Now, before Dylan jumps me and goes, oh, how do you know what Hinge is?
I know what Hinge is, Matt.
We did a podcast recently for a client and they went through the full process of Hinge. So Hinge asks questions on their dating profile and then it's meant to give more context than just, let's say, Tinder, where you're judging off 6 different photos.
You can do like voice prompts and that, correct?
Yeah.
I've done a couple of voice prompts for people. Like when I'm out.
For people.
No, like on their profiles.
Mm.
Yeah.
You dig that hole, man.
What, you think I'm on Hinge?
Can you help me, Jack?
Come find me.
This is the prompts. There's 2 prompts. You can choose your favourite or you can give both.
Okay.
The prompts are, my most controversial opinion is...
My most controversial opinion is... all right, he can use this as a voice prompt if he wants. My most controversial opinion is Jack Day is a better Jack than me, baby. Find his dating profile somewhere and go date him. Woo!
If you're in the Perth area, I think Hinge is still radius-based.
That'll do, Jackie. I like that.
Second one, Jack. Can you give a prompt for a shower thought I recently had?
A shower thought I recently have. I'll be honest, mostly I'm just belting out songs in the shower.
What do you sing, bro?
Oh, gosh.
I really jump around a lot. One of my favorite hobbies is finding random songs on Spotify, just searching random genres. So all the stuff I listen to is kind of, I'll tell you what I've been listening to lately though is MF Doom. He's an amazing
rest
rapper.
in peace.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
a reference.
Great.
Who the
reference.
hell's this guy? Dude's
The master
best.
rapper MC.
Yeah,
One of the
yeah.
best.
Accordion, one of the best.
Thank you very much, Jack Day. We do appreciate, of course.
Jack, where do we find you, bros? If people want to slide in your DMs.
My Instagram is jday2405 and my TikTok is the same. I've just started doing that on there. And yesterday, actually, I did a little TikTok about how driving with hand controls for me works. So if you're interested in disability, that's definitely a good one.
Like it.
And that one is Jack_Day_ or also jday2405, I believe.
Good on you, mate.
If you are driving and listening to that, don't worry when you get out of the car. All the links to Jack's socials are below, as is the iView player where you can watch all episodes of Better Date Than Never, starring Jack Day. Thank you, my man. Thanks for coming on the potty.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it heaps.
Good on you, bros, and shout out to the ABC, always telling diverse stories. We love it. Good on you, mate.